Hi everyone, how are you doing? Today is Thursday and I am going to show you how I make a super easy pork chop for dinner. I'm going to put it together in just a few minutes and it's going to be absolutely delicious. It is a staple in my house. I hope you like the Mickey Mouse apron that I'm rocking today. Okay, first thing I'm going to tell you is you need very little ingredients. You need pork chops. I like to do them bone in. You can do them boneless. Either way is totally fine. What you want to make sure is that you're understanding the thickness of the meat. I've said this before, but the thicker that your meat cut is, the longer it's going to take to cook. So if it's super very paper thin, that isn't going to go well with this recipe for today. So just get your ingredients. You need pork chops, olive oil, salt, pepper, and cornmeal. Okay, here we go. And you need milk. You need milk. So what I did yesterday, I did it actually yesterday, but you could do it this morning. You need just a few hours. I took my pork chops and I had them, this is one of my favorite tricks, is I just put them in a Ziploc bag. So Ziploc bag marinating is so amazing for so many reasons. The best reason is because you get to throw this out and you don't have to deal with dirty dishes. All I did with this is I put the pork chops in, I filled it with milk, I put in like a ton of salt, and I just let it sit. And what that does is it tenderizes your meat, and it's going to make the pork chop absolutely delicious. So I'm just gonna take cornmeal. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I have this organic, yellow. I mean, I have organic because let's just be honest, I live in Park Slope, and you can't go to like the local bodega without finding something organic, but I suppose that is good. All right, I have my cornmeal in here and I'm just going to season it. Oh, and the milk is spilling all over my counter. All right, so we all have little accidents every now and then. That's totally fine. The problem with this is that it's raw meat milk. So let me zip that back up until I'm totally ready. What I'm going to do is I'm going to season. I love seasoning, and I always feel that when you're cooking, you should be seasoning throughout the whole time. So if you ever see a recipe that's like add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, if you're doing different steps in the recipe, like obviously when you're making a cake, follow that direction. But when you're like cooking meat or you're slow cooking like a stew or something like that, you really have to season. You have to be constantly seasoning and doing things to taste. And as you're cooking things, the more seasonings you add to it, they cook off, they break down. You need to keep going. So salt, pepper, I'm gonna get some garlic and some onion powder. You really can do whatever you want, but I'm going to keep it kind of simple today. So I'm just going to make sure I really season this well and add some onion powder because I just like that, a little garlic powder, and some pepper. And then while I'm doing that, I'm just going to turn my stovetop on. You just need a pan. I've got a pan this big. If you have one that's a little bigger, that works. If you have one that's smaller, that works. You would just have to cook one pork chop at a time. Okay, now I'll open the bag. You're gonna want to drip this because it has been sitting in the milk. I mean, I wish that you can reach through the screen and just touch this. Some people think touching raw meat is disgusting, and like, I get it, but this is so tender, it's amazing. Okay, you're literally going to dredge this, which means just getting that corn flour all up in here. You're going to just put that in, you're going to put your pork chop inside of your cornmeal mix. Now I'm going to put some olive oil on the pan. You can use vegetable oil. Vegetable oil actually has a higher cooking rate. When you use vegetable oil, you want to use it for times when you're really hot temperatures because it doesn't burn as fast as olive oil. But for today, I have some olive oil and I have that in there, and I've totally just, you know, because the milk was on the pork chop, the cornmeal just adheres to it so beautifully. And this is going to give it a really nice crust on the outside. And what I love so much about this is that this is not breadcrumbs. Hello? Who wants breadcrumbs? I mean, they're delicious, but they're not as healthy and good for you. So you're just going to do this. I have 4 of them. Gosh, this is so good. Okay, I have 4 of them, and you're just going to put this all in the cornmeal. Now, if you want, I can see that there's tons of pepper on here. You could, at this point, you can be re-seasoning your pork chop if you don't think you put enough. Like I told you before, I seasoned this entire bag with salt. I think that I'm good on seasonings, but it's up to you. You just want to sprinkle this off, and you're just going to lay it in the pan just like so. Okay, you're going to do that. You don't need to watch me do that twice. But you're going to do that for as many times as you need to, for as many pork chops that you need, and then I'm going to tell you what you do next. So you are going to take a pan like this, and I'm going to tell you a trick about these cookie trays. Now, I actually need a new cookie tray, but what I do to try and preserve the lifetime of my cookie tray is every single time I cook on them, I line them with tin foil. And so what does that do? It does two things. One, it preserves the life of the cookie tray because you're not putting your sauces, your meats, your fishes, your cookies, what have you, directly onto the tray, but it also makes cleanup a breeze because you literally just whoop, pick it up and throw it out. I mean, of course, you've got to wash your dish, you know, your cookie tray a little bit afterwards, but that's it. When these guys are done on the pan, you are just going to put them on the cookie tray and you are going to cook them at a 400-degree temperature until you're, I think, 160. Now, look. Everyone's got to check their math. So I've got this handy-dandy thermometer. I love this one. I've had many of them. This one is amazing. I don't even know who makes it. OXO. Lois, I see you watching. How do you pronounce that one? OXO, I think. Lois and I have a funny thing that that she's always pronouncing words incorrectly and I'm always pronouncing them correctly. Okay, pork, 160 degrees for medium, well done, 170. So you're just going to put this when it's in the oven. I would say give it 20-30 minutes before you even check it. And that's it. So you're not fully cooking these pork chops right now. I just want to say, I'm going to bring this over so you can see what I'm doing. You're not going to be fully cooking them. You're just going to be basically giving it what I will call a very heavy sear. A sear is just a light cook. We're going to call it a heavy sear because we want to get it really crusty. Once it has a nice crust on it, you're going to flip it over and get the other side to have a really nice crust on it. And then you're going to put it on your cookie tray. And when you're done with all your pork chops, you put the whole thing in the oven and you are done. Done. Done, done, done. And there's really not much to clean up or to put away. So it's a lot of fun. You do have to prep it a little bit because you're going to have to marinate your pork chops. Please, whatever you do, do not skip that step. That is important. And I want to hear if you've tried it. So let me know. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.